How can a YouTube video go from flatlining for 60 days straight to over 2.3 million views without changing a single thing about the content itself? And that's exactly what I'm here to explain to you guys today. And the most interesting thing about this is that this can be engineered before you press record and after you press record. And it all starts with toothpicks, the thing that we all use to get food out of our teeth. And I could argue that everyone in this room needs a toothpick, and not for the reasons that you may think. And I promise you in some way, shape, or form, this is related to YouTube. So what does a dead video that went on to get 2.2 million views have to do with toothpicks? Well, it starts with the story of two young men from the Netherlands, and they were posing as restaurateurs. And they went to one of the most popular food expos in Europe. And this food expo was full of high-end food experts. And when they were prepping for this expo, they told everyone that their business was actually a competitor to McDonald's. And cheekily, they had actually bought the food that they were going to get from the expo, that they were going to get everyone to taste at the expo, on the way to the expo at McDonald's. But the problem was, how were they going to disguise this food? And obviously, in a room full of experts, this was a difficult challenge. But for them, it was actually quite simple, because all they needed to do was cut up some Big Macs and a few chicken McNuggets and stick toothpicks inside of them, and plate it up and give it to people. And the high-end food experts at the expo that were eating the food actually said things like, it rolled around the tongue nicely like fine wine, which is ridiculous. And someone even said that was more pure than McDonald's, you can tell. But the lesson here isn't that you just stick toothpicks in things. The lesson here is that the food critics weren't tasting the food, they were actually tasting the presentation itself. And your packaging on YouTube is your toothpick. And just like how toothpicks can change the perception of how someone eats your food, the packaging can also change the perception, and usually does change the perception of what the content that the viewer is about to consume. So what is packaging? It's the combination of your title and thumbnail, and some may argue that your idea comes into that, but that's a little bit too nuanced for this conversation. And it's not there to trick people into thinking that your content is good, because that would be called clickbait. But the packaging is there to present your idea in the best way possible that makes it enticing for the viewer to want to click. And I understand for a lot of us in this room that doesn't come naturally. And it makes sense because growing up, we all watched shows like this, and we didn't decide on a title and thumbnail before we watched these shows. You just launched right into the programming, which arguably makes your title and thumbnail the most important piece of real estate on the platform. And your title and thumbnail can literally be the difference between a video that flatlines for 60 days straight and one that accumulates 2.3 million views. So to really internalize this, we must understand one metric, which is CTR. And CTR is really simple. It's just the number of clicks divided by the amount of impressions of everyone who saw your video that was being served on YouTube, and how many of those people choose to click. And if my math is correct, if a video gets 1,000 impressions and 100 people have seen it, then you'd have a 10% click-through rate. I'm terrible at maths, by the way. YouTube is a click and watch recommendation engine. And I once read a crazy stat somewhere that 74% of all views on YouTube actually come from these two sources here, which is the home feed and the suggested feed. And that same recommendation platform, skipped too far ahead there. And that same recommendation platform is the one that allows, sorry. Had a little technical error there. It's the same platform that you need to be thinking about. Sorry, these two sources here are the same sources that you need to be thinking about where your thumbnail is being served. And in that example I mentioned earlier, that got 2.3 million views. And that was after we changed the packaging on the video. And we first tested this video natively on YouTube. And then we used a third-party tool called thumbnailtest.com, and we tested multiple variations of the title, and we found a winner. And when we found a winner, we found that there was an increase of 4% in click-through rate, and that was just from reframing the idea in the title. So inevitably, the next question is, how do you make great packaging? And great packaging typically relies on great psychology. And I'm by no means a psychologist. But after working on multiple channels, and this is just a few of them with millions of subscribers, I could tell you that it's all of these things here and more. But I think that would probably confuse a lot of people in this room, and that's a lot of information to process. So if someone was literally holding a gun to my head and asked me to summarize what packaging is in one word, or what great packaging is in one word, it would be tension. And tension is the key to opening curiosity, to make the viewer want to know what happens next. And tension will always trump design. Now, this is one of my favorite examples of creating tension specifically in a thumbnail. And you don't need to be as hyperbolic as this to get across tension in your thumbnail. And we'll go through a few examples later on that are a little bit more simple. As you can see in the thumbnail, there's a wild animal approaching this content creator through a window, which is engineered for comfort. That within itself creates tension. And there's also implied tension through the motion of the giraffe coming next to him through the window. Another point of tension in this thumbnail is created through subtle emotion. So that's expressed through the creator looking terrified. And once you get into the more granular details as well, there are more hints at subtle tension. So in the background, you have a warning sign, which adds to the overall feeling of what's going to happen next. And that should be the burning question in your mind when you're creating your thumbnails. What is going to happen next after I click on this thumbnail? Now, there's a lot you could think about when it comes to great packaging, but to make this really simple, I think there's 3 levers that you can pull that will make great packaging. And the first lever is composition. And by composition, I mean the arrangement of visual elements going into a thumbnail. So how are the colors being used in contrast with each other to create harmony within the overall balance of the image? Oh, sorry. Another thing to be aware of is the grid lines on this particular thumbnail as well. So if there are any photographers in this room, you'll know exactly what those grid lines are. And those grid lines are called the rule of thirds. And essentially what the rule of thirds allows you to do is to take each element of the thumbnail and allow them to feel balanced in the overall composition. The next lever is text, and this is a much less hyperbolic example of the thumbnail that I just showed you. But the rejections in this thumbnail show the extent of the pain that this poor person has had to go through whilst being rejected from software jobs. And the text heightens the pain and the emotion for you to want to know how this person has literally been rejected 600 times from applying to software jobs. Next lever here is emotion. So now, when people think typically about emotion in thumbnails, they default to the classic YouTube kind of face, like putting your hands on your face and just looking like wide-mouthed and all of these crazy expressive emotions. But what the emotion in a thumbnail is there to do to get across, either in your thumbnail, is to confirm what is going on in the title and the text itself. Now, you don't have to use all 3 of those levers in one thumbnail, but if you are going to use all 3 of those levers in a thumbnail, as a rule of thumb, we like to stick to a concept called the 3-element rule. And you could argue that this thumbnail here has more than 3 elements, but they all work together to create balance within the thumbnail. And using the rule of thirds, what you kind of really need to think about is how each component of the thumbnail is balanced. So the minute you start adding 4, 5, 6 elements in a thumbnail, it becomes incredibly hard for a viewer to know what to look at, where to look at, and how to process that information. And the more simple you can make it, the easier it is for them to want to click. And if you can't think of a great title and thumbnail for your concept, then my advice would be don't make it. Remember, your job is to make the viewer click. And if the packaging cannot translate your idea, your content, your concepts really clearly in a way that creates tension, then you're going to end up spending a lot of money on highly produced videos that no one watches. And something that I also just wanted to briefly mention, where I see a lot of improvement for broadcasters and brands, is letting go in the over-reliance of creators and celebrities to carry your idea. just because you have a certain content creator or a celebrity in your packaging doesn't necessarily mean that video is going to perform by default. But when you apply the principles of what makes great packaging, it can massively transform the performance of a video. So I want to try something in the room right now. Which one of these videos do you think has more views? And I'll give you a moment to look at them. Raise your hand if you think it's thumbnail A. Oh, interesting. Raise your hand if you think it's B. Okay. Well, I can confirm it's C. You're all wrong. No, actually, the answer is B. And the reason why the answer is B is because the title directly reflects the video. And I know that I've been talking a lot about thumbnails, but I briefly want to touch on titles as well. And the job of a title is to make your concept and your idea as clear as possible. And even though this thumbnail right here, or this video right here, has a very underproduced thumbnail, it still plays a massive role in the performance of the video. The tension is created by this girl being alone in the woods, which instantly raises the question, why is she alone in the woods? But then when you add the title and the context of the title on top of that, the tension is then intensified. And by the way, I'm really sorry if there's anyone in the room who worked on this thumbnail. But the core thing that I want to grasp at here is making very, very clear titles. And there's a tendency to make really long titles, to over-explain ourselves and our concept, to really try and make the viewer kind of understand what's going on. There's a tendency to be witty or use words that are not simple because we think they sound good. But for everyone in this room, I'd like to challenge you, when you're writing your titles, is to keep them under 64 characters. And there is a practical reason for this. So on YouTube, I believe it's over 72 characters. Your title then gets truncated. So if you're writing out a title and it's over 74 characters and it gets truncated, well, there's a lot of value that's being missed for the viewer. And if they're spending 60 seconds, 90 seconds trying to figure out what your concept actually is, chances are they're probably not going to click on it. So now I want to come back to something which I said at the very start, which was this could be engineered before you press record. And most production teams actually think about the process in this way. So you have a piece of content, or you have an idea for a piece of content, and then you move on to the production phase, and then you think about packaging. But here's what I would encourage you to build into your pre-production process before a single shot is set up. So start with your concepts, obviously, or your content, but then don't go into production. Think about how you can package that idea. And if you don't have a great way to package that concept or that piece of content, then I would find another way, or find another piece of content or another idea to run with. And then once you've found a way to package it, I would then think about the production side of things, how you're going to make the content, but then I'd move on to testing. And just on the topic of testing, this example that I showed you earlier of a video that came out in 2024, that was literally 2 years ago, and it has 38 million organic views. And in 2026, this channel is still testing thumbnails on the same video, despite it having 38 million views. And its job of doing it is just trying to find more people to find new ways for people to click on the video. So make as many title and thumbnail variations as possible before you go into the process of your content and your ideas. Okay, so I want to talk about one tool that I personally use to get a really good reference point of good titles and thumbnails and good packaging. And this tool is called ViewStats. It's actually created by MrBeast himself. And there's not a day that goes by where I literally am not in this tool. It has multiple functions, but the main function that we personally use it for is curating playlists of good packaging. And we always have good reference points of what good packaging looks like. So I would implore everyone in this room to look at top performing videos in your space, what's going on in your niche, and reverse engineer why it worked well. And I kind of quickly just want to walk you through how I think about reverse engineering packaging. So it's really simple. When I see good packaging, the question that I think to myself is, or questions that I think to myself are, what are the components of this that are creating tension? So I look at how is the main visual anchor being framed? Is it filling the screen? Is it clear? Does it stand out from the background? What is the text implying? Is it something contrarian? Is it bold in statement? Or will it offer a unique insight? And are there supporting visuals that create tension or elevate the tension in the packaging? And with supporting visuals, I think it's important to note that without them, or I like to think at least without supporting visuals, that the thumbnail wouldn't be complete. So if you literally took away the orange pill from his tongue, it would literally just be a guy with his tongue sticking out, which might be a little bit weird. So thinking about supporting visual elements are important, and thinking about how they complete your thumbnail will massively elevate it. And then are both the title and thumbnail creating tension? Do they play off of each other in a way that creates tension for the viewer to want to know the answer to something? And when you get into the pattern of doing this and creating your own playlist of what good packaging looks like, you'll then internalize this skill naturally, and you'll be able to spot the patterns in what good packaging looks like. Because it literally can be the difference between a dead video and one that gets 2.3 million views. And I do just want to say this, like the TV industry is the best in the world at making the food. Like everyone has editorial teams, the commissioners, executive producers, compliance departments, and entire infrastructures built around quality content, and it shows. But the question that I want to leave you with is who on your team is responsible for making the toothpick? Thank you very much. I've been Mensah. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.